I want to go ahead and make a video today about what I wish I knew 10 years ago when I first started trying to lose weight. This is a pretty long list. This is something I really thought deeply about for quite a while as I was writing it. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I think, and we're going to break it down for each point. So let's get into it, okay? So the first point that I want to talk about is you don't have to lose the weight as fast as possible. I think when I was growing up, The Biggest Loser was one of the most popular TV shows. And I think one of the worst things that it promoted as it pertains to weight loss is that it must be as fast as possible. I didn't really see that as much before the show was really popular, and I think that it's one of the most damaging legacies of that show to this day. You don't have to lose weight entirely in 1 year. You don't have to do that. Most people, especially from a very, very big size, you certainly did not put all that weight on in 1 year. You don't have to take it all off in a year. You don't have to lose 200 pounds in a year. I'm not shading anybody that has done that or hasn't or whatever. I'm just saying that nobody is any better for having done it that fast. There's no real competitive reason to actually try to lose weight as fast as humanly possible. So you don't have to do it that way. It's okay to, instead of losing, 200 pounds in a year, to lose 50 pounds for 4 years. That's completely fine. As long as you're making progress, your health is improving, and you're doing better. And people need to remember sustainability is what's most important. So let's go to point 2. Point 2 is, I wish I knew weight loss will have an effect on your mental health. So throughout many times that I've done this journey of weight loss, I have reached a similar weight to what I've reached this year, and mentally I have struggled. There are physiological reasons within the brain and the body that you start to feel a certain way. You can feel more depressed. I believe it has a lot to do with serotonin. I think there needs to be more studies involved with weight loss, particularly from, morbidly obese sizes. They need to do more studies on the role of serotonin in the brain during weight loss. I think that there's major factors that occur there, and so feeling depressed or anxious or angry is actually very common on a weight loss journey, particularly from a very big size. I wish I knew that. There were many times throughout my 20s where I was trying to lose weight and I would flip out on people or not be able to tolerate certain things anymore, and maybe see things from a slightly paranoid perspective, or see it from such a stark or dramatic perspective that it wasn't really that way. And I wish that I could have known that. I wish I could have known that the weight loss itself is coloring my perceptions a bit. It doesn't mean that everything I thought and every flip out I had and every this and every that wasn't real or didn't come from a real place, or that there weren't real issues in my life. I just wish that I would have known that as a factor. Hey, if you lose weight, it does affect your mental health. It will make you see things maybe a little darker or slightly more paranoid or this type of stuff. Maybe you'll be a little bit more negative. It's a lot more common than people think, and I wish I would have known, because it would have saved me a lot of problems. The next thing I want to talk about is the idea that you are not your fat. Losing weight will not necessarily change you or cause you to lose your identity. So when I was younger, this was a massive concern for me. I was terrified that I would lose who I was, or that a huge part of my identity was based upon my size. I think this fear is a lot more common in younger people, but this is not true. Who you are doesn't really change when you lose weight. You stay the same. I think that, again, shows like Biggest Loser, they push this idea that the real you is underneath the fat and stuff. I think they think that that's helpful, but it really isn't. It's actually terrifying to somebody to feel as though you could lose your entire personality or your identity because you lost weight. That's not true. So I will tell you that, and I wish I knew that that wasn't true. I really do. I'm still the same person. I change like anybody else changes. You change at the same pace that everybody else changes. It's just with time you change little by little each day. It's not that big of a deal. I wish I could have known that at the time. Okay. Fourth thing is weight loss is difficult, but nowhere near as difficult as people make it out to be. It's of medium difficulty. So I think a lot of times people in the media, they push the idea that weight loss is super easy. I know the health system pushes that too. It's so simple, right? Or people will take a different approach and say that it's so arduous and so difficult it can never be done. Neither one of those is true. So I wish I would have known what to expect in the sense that it is of medium difficulty. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, the fifth one, have a shallow calorie deficit. Eat your BMR and then burn off the weight through activity. So, especially from a very, very big size, this would have helped me so much if I would have tried counting calories this way. I do give credit to Lisa. She's the one that told me to do it from a very shallow standpoint. I honestly have had such an easier time eating a larger amount of calories and still being in a shallow deficit. It is life-changing. It is so important. I wish I would have known not to try to eat, for me, it would be something like 2,000 calories a day. That would be way too little. I would feel like I was starving to death every day. I eat about 2,500 to be in a deficit. And I just have to say it has helped. It made such a difference. I've been able to lose weight sustainably and balance everything out that I need to doing it that way. So I would suggest, if you can, eat your BMR and then exercise off the weight. I think the body handles it a lot easier if you're burning the fat through activity. And that way the food that you're eating is directly going to support metabolism. That's my opinion. It has really helped, especially from a very big size. So I just have to put that out there, and I wish I would have known to do that. The next thing is activity will get easier within 3 months. You will not be constantly out of breath or in pain. So something that I used to believe when I was younger is that exercise is horrible, and exercise never gets easier, and exercise is extremely painful and is a punishment, and exercise is grueling and horrible. So none of those things are true. I think what's really important is to just start slow. You want to have a reasonable amount of pain. You don't want to have your bones hurting. You want your muscles to be a little burny, right? You don't want pain in your bones and stuff like that. It's a bit much. You need to make sure you stretch and just maintain your body. I do things like cupping, and then I do gua sha. So this is gua sha on my neck because I was having some neck tightness and soreness. So I was like, let me do this, and it took out a bunch of stuff. But if you are interested in what gua sha is, just look it up, I guess. I don't know. I don't really want to talk about it. It's basically skin scraping, but that's what I did. I do stuff like that to maintain my muscles and make sure that I can stay active. So I wish I would have known that, The next one is do not cut out an entire food group ever. You do not have to. Having less is okay. You don't have to eat equal amounts of everything all the time. So this is something that I really wish I could have understood about macros. I struggled a lot with switching from vegan to keto to, high fat to low fat to high protein to low protein. Like, I did pretty much everything. I tried every single combination, and none of them were ever satisfying, because the truth is there are times when your body wants more of one thing and less of another, and that's okay. It can change throughout the seasons, it can change throughout the years. It's fine. At the end of the day, as far as weight loss, you just need to be in a shallow caloric deficit to lose that weight sustainably. So it's like, if you don't want to have tons of meat, then don't, but have some. So having a little bit of meat makes a huge difference to your body versus not having any. It's the same thing with carbs, it's the same thing with dairy, it's the same thing with a lot of other stuff. Having a little bit of something is so much better for you than having none of it. It will really help your metabolism. I wish I knew that, because I was like many people. I just thought everything was so black and white all the time in regards to diets. It's not true. So let's continue. Number 8. Seed oils will deteriorate your mental and physical health and slow your metabolism. The more you eat, the worse it will be. The less, the better. This is major. So for me, when it came to seed oils, I had no idea how bad for you they were, how bad they are for thyroid health, for hormone health. It is truly bad. I had no idea. I wish I would have known. I probably would not be overweight right now if I would have known this. This one is major. I would eat a bunch of seed oils when I was eating healthy. So I'd be eating like keto salads, I'd be eating troughs of kale and spinach, and I'd be putting tons and tons of PUFA seed oil dressing on those, and then I would get sick of the diet and then take a cheat day or go off, and then I would eat tons of taquitos and chips and things that were so high in these oils that really, regardless of what I was doing, I was eating so many of them. And my health and mental health, physical health deteriorated as the years went by. And by the time I was 28, I was really suffering from a health crisis, one that I was not sure that I was going to survive. It was that bad. So, as I said, the less you eat of these, the better, period. I would say that goes for anybody, but certainly if you're trying to lose weight, and I wish I would have known that. That would have made such a huge difference in my life. I cannot even express how much of a difference that would have made. The next one is losing weight is 1 part calories and 1 part hormones. These two aspects must be kept in balance in order to lose weight sustainably. So I would say it's really 50-50. You have to have an appropriate level of calories, but you also have to keep your hormone health in check. And this is something that it can be a little difficult to balance. I would say this is the hardest part of weight loss. It's really understanding that you need to keep your thyroid in order, so get those ingredients that I talk about. It's meat, saturated fat, carbs, particularly glucose, fructose, right? You need to get salt and calcium. And make sure you're getting all 5 of those every single day, even if it's in lesser amounts. But make sure that within a deficit, you're covering all those bases, because if you don't, it will be much harder, and it can go to a point where you're way too hungry and it starts to become impossible. So we always hear about calories in, calories out. I do think that calories are very important in regards to weight loss. But if you cannot sustain a caloric deficit, even a shallow one, it doesn't matter how important calories are. You're not going to lose the weight. So hormone health is just as important as as an appropriate caloric deficit for weight loss. I wish I knew that. Okay. 10. The medical system is not helpful in weight loss. They are only interested in pharmaceutical intervention and helping the symptoms of the disease, not curing it. I would also add that they're more interested in things like surgery and like Ozempic, okay? I think it's so much more important to prevent the issue from getting that bad, but the way that our medical system is designed, it is to keep long-standing customers. I did not know this when I was trying to lose weight in the beginning, and I wish I did, because I would have taken some of what doctors told me with a grain of salt. One of the best examples of this is recently my mom's doctor told her to eat a diet of just lean protein, no sugar, no fat, no carbs. I mean, that is just not sustainable. That is impossible. That's almost like a joke. It's almost something somebody would say just so that you would inherently fail and then they can keep you on drugs. That's honestly what it sounds like to me. It is a ridiculous diet to suggest. Okay, so anyways, I wish I knew that. 11. Most thin people and fitness gurus have never been hugely fat, and they cannot understand where you are coming from. It is legitimately harder to lose, though not impossible, from a higher weight. Their advice tends to work from a thinner perspective. So this is huge. This is so huge. This is such a major thing. I wish I would have known. I would have never listened to Freely the Banana Girl. I would have never listened to Dr. Berg. I would have never listened to so many people online after having been let down by the medical system. I wouldn't have gone to these gurus and taken what they said as seriously because I never thought of it that way. I never thought about the fact that they had never been big. I have heard so many fitness YouTubers talk about the 30 pounds they lost. I'm not saying that that is nothing, but it is nothing comparable to 200 pounds lost. It's not even similar at all. And so a lot of their advice, it's coming from a perspective that they don't understand. Like, they don't understand how it feels to be hugely fat and try to sleep. They don't understand how it feels when you eat certain foods as a fat person, or when you cut your calories to a certain level as a fat person, a majorly fat person. These things all feel different. The more morbidly obese you are, they feel different. Carbs affect you differently. You absorb nutrients differently, not as well. You have higher levels of anxiety and depression than somebody who is of a smaller size. You're more tired. There are certain things that you have to consider to have enough energy to exercise. There are exercise risks that you need to mitigate and make as, decent as possible. Don't run if you're morbidly obese. Don't run. Don't, please. It's not helpful. Don't do HIIT. It's not helpful, right? Like, don't fast for days on end. It's not helpful. These things are actually really harmful to a body that is already incredibly weak because of your morbid obesity. You need to go as easy as possible on your body as you can. So a lot of these challenges and keto and fasting and veganism and this and that and 30-day water cleanse and whatever, this stuff may have a beneficial effect on somebody healthier, but somebody who's extremely unhealthy, it is way too much and way too overwhelming for your body, and you need to go easy. I wish I knew that, because my health probably wouldn't have gotten worse with the things I tried. Okay. The next one is very serious. You are actually dying, and your weight is a serious issue. Do something as soon as possible. So through a lot of my teen years, I did not take my weight seriously. I talked to you guys about the fact that I had very severe BED as a teenager and really in my early 20s. It was very bad, but I really had a devil-may-care attitude with my binging. I just did not care. I didn't consider my body. I didn't think about it. I know a lot of people have commented on the fact that I'm so attuned to my body now, but it's because I was so not attuned when I was younger, and I really, really suffered because of it. So I wish I knew how serious it was when I was younger. I wish somebody told me, and I will tell you, this will kill you. You will die if you do not take care of this issue. It's a serious issue. It is life and death. I don't care what somebody on TikTok says. It doesn't change the truth. It's extremely unhealthy to be morbidly obese. I need you to hear that. I wish I knew that when I was younger. Okay. "13. Losing weight sustainably is possible. It's not a fantasy, lie, or a marketing scheme." So this is something I really, really wish I knew when I was younger. I was so convinced that it was impossible to lose weight. There were so many times when I would say, this is never going to happen for me. This is not possible. You feel like it's so unattainable. It feels like such an impossibility. And a lot of that is because the diet advice that we're given is actually very hostile to thyroid health, which your thyroid is your metabolism. So if you are doing things like cutting out saturated fat, for example, or going vegan, these things are very harmful to your thyroid. If you're going keto, very harmful to your thyroid health. It is not helpful at all. And somebody who is super big, they're being told all this advice, like I was told all this advice, and my thyroid was already so weak from my obesity that these diets felt absolutely horrible to do. They were horrible, horrifically unsustainable, horribly painful, horrible mental health issues, like starving to death feelings, right? Like a lot of fat activists talk about their body ringing the alarm and going into scarcity mode. It's not scarcity mode, it's hypo mode. You're going into a worse phase of hypothyroidism. You're becoming really severe, which part of that is getting adrenal and having your adrenaline and stuff surge to try to give you energy, because without thyroid hormone, you don't have any energy. So I wish I would have known, yes, it's possible. Okay, moving on. Okay, so now we're going to get into some emotional ones, okay? Weight loss requires boundaries. You can't lose weight and be a people pleaser at the same time. People will have opinions. Many will not support you. People will make comments on how you are eating. People will try to discredit you and tell you you are wrong. So they'll tell you you're wrong for how you're eating, and they'll tell you you're wrong for trying to lose weight. This is extremely important because a lot of very overweight people do not have boundaries. They don't really have boundaries with other people, and they don't have boundaries within themselves. So it's really, really important to develop boundaries to lose weight. You cannot be afraid or ashamed of not eating something when you go out to eat because you're worried about what people will think of you. It really slows down the process. And I'm not trying to hate on anybody. I'm just saying you really do have to have boundaries. And I understand this. Like, I was one of those people too, where I was like, I don't want to have to be annoying. I don't want to have to say, I can't do this, I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. But you get past it. You get over it. You're not at a healthy weight. You're not healthy. You can't partake in certain things, and you honestly shouldn't anyways, probably, with certain things. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have to say no. You're going to have to deal with criticism in regards to this choice to lose weight. I wish I knew that. Instead of thinking there was a way that I could do it where nobody would say anything. It's not real. Number 15, losing weight requires prioritization. You have to make it your top priority. It's too difficult to pursue passively. So this is something that I did not want to accept for the longest time in my life. I thought, there's all these different phases in my life, right? So there's some phases where you feel like it can be easier, or you feel like it should be easier. And there's other times in your life where you feel like it's impossible. But the thing is, it does require prioritization. It's not something that in today's society will passively happen unless if you become much more active, but you're still going to probably have to change your diet. You have to accept that it has to be a priority. If you do not prioritize weight loss, you will not lose weight. It probably will not happen. If it's not the most important thing to you, it has to be. It's too difficult otherwise. I'm just being honest. Okay. Number 16. Body neutrality is a goal. Try not to think about how you look as you lose weight. The less you think about it, the better. You will not be able to not think about it entirely, but minimizing will help you to not obsess over it. So this is something that I really wish I would have known right when I was starting to lose weight or trying to, because I used to stare in the mirror every day, look at my collarbones, look at things that were changing, and freak out. I used to have anxiety spells looking in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, what is this going to mean? And what is this going to look like? And oh my gosh, like it's just not helpful. So instead of being all about like, I'm doing so well, or I feel so great, or I look so ugly today, honestly, sustainable weight loss is much easier from a body neutral perspective. So from this is where I am today, and we'll see where I am tomorrow, and this is how I used to be in the past, and you just kind of have that approach to it. It makes it much more manageable, and it causes a lot less distractions. And again, it's not an issue if you think about it sometimes, but just try to minimize it. I think a lot of people can become hyper obsessed with it really easily. So I think it's important to minimize that. Minimize body checking, minimize these types of behaviors, because it can drive you insane. It's too long of a process, and you're going to go nuts over the years, It's just not helpful. Okay. The next point. Live your life as you lose weight. It is going to take a long time, and this time is a major part of your life. Have hobbies, friends, dates, travel. Do the best you can with what you have. Even if weight loss must be the top priority, it should never be your only priority. So this is a really, really big one. I think that there's so many people that go the opposite of like not making weight loss a priority, and they make it their only priority. It's not healthy. You still have to try to have a balanced life, and you still have to live your life. Like even in the worst parts of my health crisis, I still moved to Alabama. I still helped my mom get over a mental health crisis she was in. I still did some political activism. I still was really involved in my life. I was really involved in my prayers and, this type of stuff during the past couple of years. I was still traveling. Like I traveled to Los Angeles, where I'm from. I traveled there last year for my birthday. I still got on the plane, even if it upset somebody. I still made friends and connections. I still have business plans. Like, I still dealt with my relationship and then the breakup. You still have to live your life during these years, because it does often take years. And don't waste your time in this, acting as if these years don't matter because you're fat. They still matter. You still matter as a fat person. This time still matters, and live your life while you're losing weight. That doesn't mean you don't make it your top priority, but it does mean that's not the only one. And I really wish I would have known that when I was younger, because I think it would have been easier to commit to weight loss if I didn't think I had to put my whole life on hold while I was losing weight. I don't. I haven't. Law has gone down. Live your life. And lastly, the more authentically you live, the easier it will be. It takes the pressure off of you so you can better handle the pressure of a deficit. So oftentimes when you're losing weight, there are definitely hormonal shifts. There's different aspects. There's different times where you may feel agitated or irritated or angry or sad, or these types of things. You may have strong emotions during a weight loss journey. It's probably a lot more common than people think. If you're living authentically, then you're not really holding anything down that can explode. I did this a lot throughout my years of trying to lose weight, where there were certain things that really bothered me in my life, or certain people that really bothered me, or certain situations, maybe certain beliefs, or certain things where I wasn't living authentically in these areas. I mean, the most obvious thing is I wasn't upfront about the fact that I was going to, aspire to marry a man, for example, until I was 23. I mean, it was pretty obvious, but I still never was living that authentically, and I wasn't putting that out there, and it created a huge amount of pressure. That's a very obvious example, but it could be something like you hate your job. It could be something like you don't agree with the politics of those around you. It could be something like you don't agree with, or you don't like a friend anymore. There's many, many different aspects that can be at play where people don't live authentically. And you have to, I would suggest living authentically and just being you as much as you can, because the closer you get to authenticity, the easier weight loss will be. Because if you don't have to lie to people or suppress things or hold things back, you are going to have a much easier time with the deficit, because then nothing can explode. I live completely authentically at this point, and I don't have anything to explode. I address issues as they come. So it has really helped me this year to stay on track, even with things that have happened this year that were really difficult for me. I was still able to continue. So suppression and deception are huge barriers to weight loss, and I don't think people talk about that very much. But that's everything, you guys. I really wish I knew these things. I'm trying to tell you so you don't have to struggle the way that I did. I hope that this helped. Please let me know what you guys think. We need to provide more than just a reaction to these ideas. I think we need to provide alternatives, and I think I am very against fat acceptance, but I do think that there needs to be something else. So I'm trying to create that. So let's talk in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. I hope to see you guys again soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I will hopefully see you again. Bye, you guys.